Hi everybody and welcome back to Greater Manchester Stories. This episode's amazing guest is Jordan Gaskell, who's standing as an independent in the Hindley ward in Wigan. So first of all, welcome Jordan to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Let's jump straight into it. I'm always curious because obviously you're running as an independent like me. I'm curious about why did you choose independent?
Very good question, really. Sadly, I've lost a lot of faith in the main political parties. Labour Party and Conservative, I believe, are as bad as each other. They both promise whatever it takes to get elected, and then once they're elected, they do nothing but screw over the British people. Um, I don't have any faith in the main parties anymore. A lot of the smaller parties as well. It's very hit and miss. Personally, I don't trust Reform as such. I have tried to work with them in the past, and I had a response off them saying we're not allowed to work with other parties, and then they blocked me. So I've no faith in Reform. Very interesting response of Reform Wigan. Um, I personally don't have faith in many parties, so independent, I can be directly responsible to the people of my ward. I've not got a party to tell me you can do that, you can't do that. I can do exactly what the people of the area need.
Exactly. And it means you have no bosses apart from the voter, the people of your ward. When you stand for a party, we think your boss is going to be the people, but technically you've got a boss. It's sat in London who's the party chairman, the party leader. And that party can tell you what to do, when to jump, how high to jump, what your policies are, and you become impotent. It's like, well, why did we vote you in if you're going to be told what to do by somebody else and not the voter on the ground where you live? So well done for standing anyway, and great for standing as an independent. Wigan are doing really well with independent candidates. So for people watching this, I think the Manchester Evening News did a story about this today. There's so many people standing in Wigan as an independent, and if they get a better look at this election, they could actually take over the council if enough of them get elected. So well done, Wigan, for rejecting mainstream parties and going for local people who live in local areas who are independent. Um, my next question really is, obviously you're on the ground in Hindley, you speak to people all the time. What are the issues in Hindley?
There's quite a few issues. Unfortunately, antisocial behaviour has been a growing issue in Inlet. One of the recent reports that I read, it's become one of the third worst wards of the borough for antisocial behaviour, including domestic violence, teenagers causing havoc across the town, that type of thing. Youth crime, I'd say, is the main growing issue that we have. There's multiple areas in key areas suffering from that at the moment. The local councillors did try putting cameras forward once for it, which just got spray painted straight over where they put them. Not the best planning space for them to begin with where they put them, to be honest. You shouldn't put a camera that low in general, but which wasn't an intelligent decision in my opinion. Antisocial behaviour says definitely one of the biggest issues I'll be tackling. Second to that would be the fly tipping and littering in Inley. That's become a little
Before we move on to fly tipping, let's have a chat about antisocial behaviour. I'm an expert in reducing antisocial behaviour. I've been doing it for 20 years. I've got a handful of awards. I used to run many projects for Manchester Council, and then I set up a charity reducing antisocial behaviour in crime. I've advised three prime ministers on this as well. Tackling antisocial behaviour is different and more complicated than tackling crime. Crime is black and white. You either broke the window or you didn't. You stole that or you didn't. You hit that person or you didn't. Antisocial behaviour gets a bit more complicated because then a lot of it is perception. And just because it's difficult doesn't mean we don't challenge it, we don't reduce it. And how we reduce antisocial behaviour, I call it prevention and early intervention. So we need to be speaking to those young people. We need to be letting them know we know who you are. And that's what police officers should be doing. We know where you live. We're going to be speaking to your parents. And we don't let people get away with the little stuff, because getting away with the little stuff always always ends up with bigger stuff down the line. So I'm running for mayor, as you know. The mayor is also the police crime commissioner of Greater Manchester Police. One of my priorities will be tackling antisocial behaviour across Greater Manchester. I want a zero tolerance approach on the streets. So if you're a young person or an adult, whoever you are, and if you're causing problems, you're going to be dealt with. You'll have warnings, you'll be arrested. If you're a child, we'll be speaking to your parents, because I want parents to take responsibility. It's not for the police to raise your children and discipline your children. It's your job as a parent. So if we're both elected, I'm definitely going to help you with reducing antisocial behaviour in the Hindley ward. So your second priority is?
A second for me would be stopping fly tipping and littering. It's quite a problem in Hindley. It has got worse over the years. Some of the public bins that we had have actually been removed since. And the cleaning teams that we do have, although they do work and clean up a lot, there is a lot of areas that you'd request for the council and you could wait weeks to months sometimes for them to actually be sorted. There was an area last year that I know someone reported to the council twice. Within about 2-3 months, it still hadn't been sorted. So I ended up going down there and I just cleaned it myself for the a local business, which it was. It was all at the back of their building. It was all just dumped at. So I've been cleaning up a lot of it myself, best I can for now. I set myself a goal actually last year to clean up 200 bags worth of litter by this time next year. I've actually just reached that goal. So 200 bags of litter in a year is well, a year starting in May isn't too bad. So fly tipping, littering would be a key policy of mine. It's growing a lot worse and worse in Hindley.
Yeah, we as a nation, we need to discuss between ourselves and have an open debate about why we have a fly tipping problem. Part of it is laziness from people. Part of it is they don't understand what they're doing. They could go somewhere to legally dump it. But the big problem is we've made it so difficult now to turn up at a council recycling centre to dump your rubbish. We've made it so difficult that people now look for quiet streets to dump their rubbish. And all this is down to the green agenda. So the councils have sacrificed the beauty of our neighbourhoods so they can claim they're reducing their waste and recycling as much as possible. And what people don't understand, most of our recycling in this country is a big con. I know somebody who runs a recycling firm and they tell me over 90% of the stuff we recycle in Greater Manchester goes to landfill. So we've done our bit recycling it and it just goes into landfill anyway. A lot of this recycling nonsense and green agenda is causing people to dump rubbish on the streets, and we need to admit that, and then we need to start looking at changing our policies to make sure we're offering services to people in Greater Manchester that they want. I'm sure if we offered the people of Hindley better refuge collection, bigger bins and easier access to the tip, I'm sure they won't be dumping as much stuff on the streets.
I fully agree with that. Another one as well would be good with that is to scrap the charges on a lot of recycling plants. A lot of them do charge money to visit. Even a small fee, it can deter a lot of people from visiting.
I never knew that. I've never come across, I've not come across one yet I never come across one yet that charges money. And if they do, well, of course you're going to get increase of dumping on the streets.
Exactly.
Well,
It's a major problem that we do have.
and then what's your third priority?
I think a third priority for me would, and it does link to this a bit, is I will stand against any taxes such as cars or the ULEZs. I don't agree with them. They're not helping the environment in my eyes. A lot of people are saying this in favour of this net zero rubbish. I don't agree with that whatsoever. It's nothing but another excuse to tax the already struggling working class. It's a tax. There's nothing more to it than that. It's a tax. And as councillors, as representatives of a struggling working class, we shouldn't allow it to happen.
I've got some good news for you for that. If I'm elected mayor, it all disappears overnight. I'm taking down the cameras. The cameras cost something like 60 million or 100 million to install, and I'm going to have to tear them down, and it's going to be a waste of money, and it's going to break my heart doing it. But the cameras have to come down, because if they don't, our clean air zone, even though it's been scrapped now, allegedly, it will come back under a different name. They'll just rebrand it as a ULEZ under a low traffic neighbourhood, under a congestion charge, under pay per mile. It will come back. And then you're right, the average driver will have to pay to drive on the streets they've already paid for in their taxes. It's a disgrace. I don't know how these Labour mayors in our big cities get away with this, penalising working people and always trying to interfere in our lives. Who are you to tell me how I should travel around my city? Who are you to tell me what transport I should have? We should provide a really good public transport system, but that should be a choice if I want to use it or not. But the clean air zone is dead now in Greater Manchester, but people need to be careful because it's going to come back under a different name.
I completely agree with you on that. Actually, I've been saying that since they announced that it was scrapped. So they just put it as a different name. You've pretty much took the words out of my mouth on that one. Brilliant.
Well, if it wasn't going to come back, why are we keeping the cameras? Why are all the signs still there? It's because Andy Burnham is waiting to be elected again. Then he's going to, from what I've been told, he's going to jump ship very soon and get back to Parliament because he wants to be Prime Minister once Labour take power. It's the mayor who comes after him will be the problem. He won't have the bottle to introduce it now. But if he can leave everything in place, the person who comes after him can flick a switch and we start making hundreds of millions of pounds off motorists every year. And greedy politicians will flick that switch. Any other priorities? What else is going on in Hindley?
I think really the main one that would be worth mentioning for me would be supporting the community groups that we have in Hindley. We have quite a large list of different community groups, especially youth groups, especially. We have a lot of in Hindley. They'd help. Obviously, I do believe community groups are great for helping tackle antisocial behaviour within the youth crowd. They help inspire young people. They help learn them the skills to be productive members of society. We should do more to support these groups. There's groups outside of youth groups as well within our community sector. We have a lot of veteran support groups. I mean, there's the Hindley Veterans Association. I'm a member of the group. I do a lot for the Memorial Garden Fund in there in the past years. So there's a lot of charities and community groups in Hindley that I would like to see more support from the council. The council likes to blow money on cycling lanes and other vanity projects. I'd unfortunately have to admit. I think if we redirect that money more towards helping our local charities and community groups, it could make Hindley a better place than it currently is.
Yeah, I mean, these community groups are the heart of communities. They're run by local people for local people, addressing local needs. You can't get anything better than that. And we do need support, the third sector, and these people who volunteer their time to improve their neighbourhoods. They need more support because they're the ones who will improve your neighbourhood. The council won't do it, politicians won't do it. We've got to empower local people to improve where they live themselves, and they will need some help. They may need a little bit of money and a bit of support, but completely agree with that. I've worked with some amazing residents groups and housing groups and charities, and I set a charity up myself. They do amazing work, and we need to support them all the time. How can people contact you? I'll put all the details in the description of this video. But we've got 6 days to the election. How can people contact you and ask you questions and support you?
Well, for me, I've got social media, of course. There's Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X, previously Twitter. And I'm on Getter. I'm also happy for people to email me any questions they have or inquiries. My email is jgaskell522@gmail.com. That's the one I use for any inquiries. So feel free to get in touch in any of them ways if anyone wants to contact me with any questions or anything they want sorted around Hindley, and I'll sort it to the best of my ability.
Excellent. And everything you said then, I'll put in the description of the video so people can go into it and find all your contact details. I wish you the best of luck, Jordan. And for people watching this is a man you need to check out. You need to see what he's about, what he's done in his community, and what he's going to do. And then you need to make a decision who you're voting for. But I know who I'd be voting for if I lived in Hindley. So thanks, Jordan, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And I'll speak to you soon. If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. The only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.